Good morning, friends. Hello, hello. How are you this morning? Hope you're doing well. It is a gray day here. Yeah, the expectation is rain yet again. So we endeavor to persevere in this springtime of that. I hope you are well and good today. Let me know what's happening with you. It is yet another week here. Hey, good morning, Karen. We are 1 week into May, if you can believe it. Good morning, everyone. Everybody's doing well on this day. Good morning, good morning. Have a little mug up. Trying to stay dry. I know. I think the rain that you have is headed towards us. We expect to get it any time, any minute now. So that and doing all right. All right, friends. Let's get going this morning. It is the 6th day of May on this Tuesday at 11:11, and I'm glad you're here and a part of the journey that we might have the opportunity to gather together and spend a little while. 1 week from today, I am going to be on a plane headed to Lourdes, France. Now, if you do not know, Lourdes is one of the major healing sites within Christianity. It is particularly a healing site within the Roman Catholic world, but miraculous healings have been happening there since the 1850s, when a young peasant girl ended up seeing a vision of Mary at the what is called the grotto, which in those days was basically a garbage dump. That she saw a vision of Mary there, and from that there was she began to kind of root around in the ground, and waters began to flow. A spring came up, and the waters since that time have been a site of miraculous healing over time. And that Lourdes has had not only become a pilgrimage site, but also a site of true and real and profound healing that people have experienced going there, both physical miracles and miracles of the soul. In 1947, the 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 Allied powers and the kind of the chaplains and the bishops that worked for them realized that there was a profound need for healing and reconciliation, particularly between French and German soldiers, as you might well imagine. And so they began sponsoring a 5-day pilgrimage where soldiers and warriors from all over the world in this time of year, in mid-May, would descend upon Lourdes and become a part of the healing tradition there, with the express movement of healing the wounds of war. And so this year I kind of applied to go after I was encouraged to go by a number of the people that I had been on the pilgrimage in Spain with, in Camino, that they had also been to Lourdes, and they kind of knuckled me up and said, you need this and you should go. And so I applied and have the opportunity to go and be a part of it, because now it is no longer just French and German soldiers, but it has actually turned into 30 nations send warriors there to heal from the wounds of war and to pray for the healing of the wounds of war throughout the world, to experience the waters there, to experience what it is to be in the fellowship of soldiers, and to be back in that if they're no longer in uniform, but if they are in uniform, to be able to bring and represent their services in that space, and that to come without representing their nation but without nationality, to come representing the warrior class but without the desire to bring violence, but with simply the desire to bring healing. And so so this journey that has been set up on now has as a part of it over 25,000 soldiers or sailors, airmen, marines, 25,000 warriors that descend upon Lourdes in next week in those 5 days, and I will be one of them. I will, if you're interested, you can Google it on YouTube. There's a number of videos. I will post one in the chat if you're interested in exploring more about it. But I share that with you just because that's part of one of the things that I'm doing in order to submit myself to the healing and reconciliation that my own soul needs and I feel called to the healing and reconciliation of the world and what I believe that the world needs from me, and also the willingness to step into new and powerful places of spirit. Now, I am a good congregational minister. I'm a good, I'm a Protestant by stripe. This is not a desire to go, run off and embrace Catholicism in some sort of way. I am very much Popeye. I am what I am, and I'm very much formed in that. And yet, this there's also this way of understanding and seeing the wider gifts of the Christian tradition and the Christian walk, with some of them that dwell in the Orthodox Church, some of them that dwell in the Roman Catholic Church, some of them that dwell with my good friends in the Pentecostal Church, that we all make up the grand mosaic of what it is to be. To have the light of Christ shine through us, to be the grand and beautiful window through which Christ shines, and that we can all participate in that, and we can all be a part of that. And I have felt called to this not only because of kind of some deep, deep thing that I might carry in my own soul, but also the reality of what I have often said in this podcast, simply that the idea of the great Thomas Merton, that when we move closer to God, God moves closer to us. When we have the desire to please God, that does in fact please God, and it's not the fact that we've got it all right. It is the fact that we desire relationship. Often I think our spiritual walks are like the little 3-year-old that makes a picture that we can't even really figure out what the picture is maybe sometimes, but that the 3-year-old so excitedly runs up and shows it to us, and that we as adults that are nurturing that child, as parents or whatever, we take that and say, oh, isn't that beautiful, even though we might not even know what it is. Well, I think God often is that way with us, that we come to offer our gifts to Him, and yet maybe it is the right gift, maybe it's not the right gift, but our desire to offer the gift is actually what brings us closer in relationship, and what gives Him an opportunity to bestow His love upon us. And so I've opened myself to this, and I've submitted myself to this, and I'll be going on this journey in these days ahead, for in many ways for this reason, to see what grace that might be available in the days ahead, to see what healing might come, and to submit myself to the discipline of pilgrimage. And so I offer all of that, and I offer this story as possibly an inspiration to you, and an invitation to you. What small step? And I'm not saying you need to go to France for 5 days. Don't hear me. Don't hear me say what I'm not saying. But there is this ultimate willingness of our being and of our soul to open ourselves a little more to the divine, to take another step on the path, or to maybe sit down, or to maybe wander off, or to maybe stop and reserve ourselves even in the most difficult of ways. It doesn't mean the walk is easy. It doesn't mean it's always there, but it does mean that God is always there and looking for us in the walk. And so, what thing might you do today? What invitation is the Spirit whispering to you? It's like, hey, read a little scripture. Hey, listen to a little, listen to spend a little time in prayer and talk with God. Go for a walk and admire the creation and the beauty of it in this day, or spend a moment in reflection and in the disciplines of whatever it is. And I'm not here to tell you what it is, but I am here to invite you onto the journey, because there's an old line that says there are only two mistakes on the spiritual path. The first is not entering on it at all, that not seeking a relationship with the one who made us in any form, shape, or just keeping the door shut and forever keeping the door shut. And to kind of wall ourselves off and become, or to kind of cultivate really death inside of us in a way of when we wall ourselves off these ways. But the second is I think much more interesting, in that is to think that we can get off once we step on the pilgrimage, once we step on the path. To think that, once I get on the plane to France, I can get off from the plane. Now, I suppose I could create a ruckus and they'd have to put me down somewhere, but you know what I mean. That once we enter onto the path, that God will and continue to invite us, not punish us, not spur us, not goad us on with some sort of pain or suffering, but continue to love us and continue to invite us to step into the next most beautiful thing, the better feeling thought of our day, the next great movement of wonder in our lives, and that we can open ourselves to that. We can submit ourselves to that. We can do things that create space for God's love and grace and the Holy Spirit to enter into. And so I tell you my story to invite you into your own. What thing that you might do? What small thing? What tiny thing? What seemingly insignificant thing might you take up in these days to move closer to the one who made you? That may be a tiny and small pilgrimage in your own right. Because as one of my great theologians said, and I think I just said it the other day, and I'll keep saying it, is that when we move one thing, God moves 1,000 things. And so, friends, I invite you to move the one thing today. I invite you to step a little further along your own path. I invite you to come and seek a little time with the one who made you, that you may know the healing and the grace and the glory, not of some grand cathedral built on top of a grotto that was a part of some sort of mystical apparition. Maybe that's what it will call you to, but simply to be another step into the path, into the journey, into the life of what it is to live with the one who loves us and calls us home. Peace and grace to you all, my friends, and we'll pick it up tomorrow with another 11:11.